On December 12, 1917, a brigade train carrying around 1,000 French soldiers on their way home for leave from Italy in World War I. Little did they know that their heartfelt excitement to meet their family and their Christmas vacations would turn into the worst rail disaster France has ever witnessed. Today, I will narrate to you the incident of the Saint-Michel de Maurienne derailment. Following the Battle of Caporetto, which took place from 24 October to November 19, 1917, a British and French expeditionary battalion was sent to northeast Italy to reinforce the Italian front line. When the Italian front stabilized a month later, French Commander General Émile Fayolle granted leave to soldiers who had once fought on the Western Front to boost their morale. At the end of November that year, a rail transport plan was organized to transport the French soldiers from Vicenza, Italy, to railway stations in France. A few weeks later, on the night of 12 to 13 December, military train number 612 was returning from Italy filled with French soldiers. After passing through the Moncenis tunnel, the train reached Modane station, where 2 additional cars were coupled to the train before the journey onward to Chambéry. From there they were to disband to join their families throughout France for 15 days of leave covering the year-end holidays. The train stopped at Modane for 1 hour to allow other trains to depart. Here, most of the officers exited the train during this stop, to take the Modane-Paris Express, which fortunately saved some lives. The train consisted of 19 coaches of Italian construction, 1 baggage van at each end, 15 cars with bogies, and 2 fixed-axle coaches added at Modane, for a total length of 350 meters and a total weight of 526 tons. By official count, it was carrying 982 enlisted men of the 46th and 47th regiments. Due to a shortage of locomotives in the area, the commanding officer for rail traffic chose to couple 2 trains with a combined 19 coaches to a single 460 engine. Of those coaches, only the first 3 had air brakes. The remaining coaches had only hand brakes or no brakes at all. The compressed air brakes worked on only the first 3 cars of the train, and 7 brakemen, 2 of whom died in the derailment, had been distributed throughout the train, to set the brakes when signaled to do so by the locomotive whistle. The train surpassed the official number of soldiers and was overloaded for operation on the steep grade between Modane with an elevation of 1,040 meters and Saint-Michel de Maurienne with an elevation of 710 meters. With too many cars relative to the braking power of the single locomotive. Such a train generally would have had 2 engines. The driver objected to taking the heavy load with a single engine but was overruled by the transport officer. The train departed from Modane station at 11:15 p.m. and descended into the valley. The driver began the downhill descent as slowly as possible, at 10 km per hour, 6 miles per hour, on the first incline, but from Frigny onwards, a short distance from Modane, the train began accelerating to an eventual uncontrollable speed of 135 km per hour, 84 miles per hour, as measured by the locomotive speed indicator. The driver applied the brakes to no effect, owing to the heavy load, and quickly lost control of the train. Lacking sufficient braking power for the steep downgrade of 3.3%, abruptly, the train derailed. The first coach derailed while going at 102 km per hour, 63 miles per hour, where the authorized speed was 40 km per hour, 25 miles per hour, and its coupler broke only 1,300 meters from Saint-Michel de Maurienne station shortly after crossing the metal highway bridge at Sauces, over the River Arc. The wooden coaches smashed into one another and promptly caught fire, caused by the overheated brakes and lit candles that had been brought aboard due to faulty electric lighting. The fire was also fed by grenades and other explosives carried without authorization by the soldiers returning home. The fire did not burn out until the evening of the following day. Unfortunately, the derailment also occurred at a point where the railway line passed through a narrow gap in the mountain terrain, leaving little room for heat from the fire to escape. The locomotive engineer had been too preoccupied with his failing brakes and excessive speed to notice the absence of the cars until he reached the station at Saint-Michel de Maurienne. Here he finally succeeded in stopping his locomotive and its tender. Together with some Scottish soldiers waiting to depart from Modane and railway employees from both stations, he went immediately to the accident site to assist. Their task was made more difficult by the rocky terrain where the wrecked cars lay, the heat from the fires, and the height of the piled-up wreckage. The station master at La Praz, seeing the train passing at an out-of-control speed, had notified the station master at the next larger station, Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne, who held the departure of a train full of British soldiers, thereby preventing a catastrophic head-on collision. Both the military hospital at Saint-Jean-de-Maurienne and the Beauxen-Vergères pasta factory nearby were transformed into makeshift field hospitals and mortuaries for the victims. Rescue teams pulled more than 424 corpses from the wreckage that could be officially identified. A further 135 could not be identified. 37 more bodies were found scattered along the ballast of the railway or the right-of-way, between La Prasse and the metal bridge, belonging to soldiers who had jumped off the out-of-control train or had been thrown off as it tossed wildly. They were interred in a communal grave next to the cemetery. Only 183 men who had been on the train reported for roll call the next morning. More than 100 others either died in hospitals in the region or while being transported to them, during the next 15 days. The stated number of fatalities varies from at least 675 to about 800. The accident remained a classified military secret for 90 years. Later an investigation was called by the court-martial to try 6 employees of the Paris Lyon Méditerranée Railway Company. They were acquitted of all charges. In June 1923 the Minister of Defense inaugurated a monument to the victims in the cemetery of Saint-Michel-de-Maurienne. On December 12, 1998, a monument was inaugurated at the La Sauces site, near the site of the accident. The derailment remains the greatest rail catastrophe in French history. Also, it is the deadliest railway disaster in world history that occurred as a result of an operational accident rather than being caused by a larger natural disaster. If you made it this far, I want to thank you for watching. If you want to support us, leave a like and a comment. And if you enjoy this type of content, make sure you subscribe to our channel, so that you won't miss any of our uploads. Hopefully, see you next time.